This is The Top, where I interview entrepreneurs who are number one or number two in their industry in terms of revenue or customer base. You'll learn how much revenue they're making, what their marketing funnel looks like, and how many customers they have.
I'm now at $20,000 per talk.
5 and 6 million.
He is hell-bent on global domination. We just broke our 100,000 unit sold mark.
And I'm your host, Nathan Latka.
I just finished traveling Southeast Asia for 41 days, and I usually always get sick when I travel, and quite frankly, eating is difficult for me. It's hard to find a restaurant, and I'm spoiled in Austin with my personal chef. Well, I took these little packets with me this time, 30 of them, in my carry-on suitcase. They kept me totally healthy with 11 different secret ingredients. You can see them at nathanlatka.com/juice. I'll tell you more later on in the show. That's nathanlatka.com/juice. This is episode 651. Coming up tomorrow morning, the SnapLogic CEO comes on and announces he's raised $136 million. They've just passed $70 million in annual recurring revenue, helping over 750 paying customers connect data streams internally. Unbelievable story. Don't miss it. Good morning, everybody. Nathan Latka here. My guest this morning is Garth Moulton. He's invested in and advised a number of technology startups and is responsible for driving revenue growth for the channel for Pipl, Inc. After 11 years of sales experience in the Bay Area, Mr. Moulton had the perfect startup journey with Jigsaw.com, which grew from 2 guys and a whiteboard to a $175 million exit in 2010 to Salesforce.com. Garth, are you ready to take us to the top?
Yes, I am, Nathan. Thanks.
Awesome. Well, you first off, we love Jim Fowler. We love the Jigsaw story. Congrats on that exit in 2010. Did you get depressed after you sold it? You feel like you killed your baby?
I didn't get depressed, but the analogy that I use is like you're traveling on the bus, maybe in the movie Speed, and then all of a sudden somebody chucks you out. And you land okay. You're not physically hurt, but you're sort of like, what's going on now?
So you did not, after the acquisition, did you stay at Salesforce or you did not?
I stayed at Salesforce for a 1-year earnout. Yep. Same as Jim and a number of other executives.
Got it. So 1-year earnout, and then you exited out. Now, before in kind of the pre-interview conversation, you mentioned Pipl, which those of you that want to follow along, it's Pipl.com. You said this has been around for 11 plus years. So this was running and growing while you were building Jigsaw. Is that accurate?
Absolutely. In fact, I met the CEO, founder, and owner and majority owner of Pipl. It's a private company, Matt Hertz. I met him in the early days of Jigsaw, and we were partnered. In fact, Pipl would drive traffic to Jigsaw, as well as LinkedIn and Facebook and other, and we continue to be a traffic driver to those sites. The site actually, the public site, the public search engine still does 10 million uniques a month worldwide.
Yeah, this is you're talking about Pipl.com, right?
That's right.
Yeah, so Alexa ranking 29,481 in the world, over 1,300 inbound links, and then the big tagline, it says search over 3 billion, specifically 3.1 billion people, world's largest identity repository in the world. So walk us through, I imagine there's some traffic play here or data play here, but Garth, how does it make money?
Well, up until 3 years ago, it was just a typical search engine driving traffic to partners that we would give you, a classic use case would be somebody comes on, they're looking for an old girlfriend, and they put in a name and a location, and then we search the deep web, put together on the fly a profile of attribute information, and then we ask, do you want a credit report on this person? Do you want business information on this person? Do you want more in-depth information? And then we would send the traffic out to our partners. And over the last 3 years, that has morphed into, we're more of a data company. We're selling API access and basic search tools to access the data, the profiles, to 3 major channels. One is the other people search applications that are much more popular, spend more money on marketing. We're the back end fulfilling the data requests for them.
Like give us an example of one you can talk about.
Instant Checkmate.
Okay.
Spokeo. It's for example,
People Smart, People Finders, BinVerified.com, those kinds of people.
We're partnered with all of them.
Yep.
And then the second channel, Fraud Alert, ID validation, Fraud Alert. Now we work with the credit bureaus, but we are not FCRA compliant. You can't make credit decisions or hiring decisions based on the data, but our data will go into other accredited organizations. But for Fraud Alert, testing to see if an email is real. For example, we do a lot of work with a number of Fraud Alert companies that are out there. And then the channel that I overlook is companies that are going to use the data for sales and marketing, whether that's marketing tech, ad tech, the CRM companies.
Does Full Contact and Clearbit both pay for API access?
We are partnered with Full Contact. That's probably as far as
see Garth's face, the very diplomatic thought process happening there.
Right, it's true.
It's fascinating, the space, because I've talked to every CEO in the space. It's almost like there is no actual source. Like, you can't find the mother. It's like everyone buys everyone else's API access to check their own data, to make their own data better, and I can't actually figure out who the damn source is.
Well, there are sources. Well, Jigsaw was a source of a data, where it was coming out of the Rolodexes of all its users. Full Contact and other companies, that have access to address books on phones and on email for their various users. LinkedIn is still, particularly for B2B information, is a huge, that's sort of an acquisition point for the data. And every company that's in B2B lead generation, data acquisition, CRM, marketing automation, all have a relationship to that LinkedIn data. Now,
is that private, Garth? Your relationship with them, is that contract like private?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, guys, Garth can't confirm or deny this, but just to put some brackets around this, many people have told me, both publicly and privately, access to that LinkedIn channel. You're talking like the minimum is $500,000 per year. And that's like for like almost nothing. So it gives you a sense of the data stream and how powerful that is.
Well, at the very base of their company, when they got started, they have a sort of a tacit agreement with it's like, okay, I will continue to self-report my employment data and keep it up to date on your website, and you will not wholesale sell, that data. Now LinkedIn has gotten more and more aggressive with making that data available. And it's very interesting. They're purchased by Microsoft, how that will continue, what will be the future. But they have a very adversarial relationship with sort of the rest of the data world out there, which they view is exploiting their data.
Yep. There are many CEOs that I'm very close with just through the show that contacted me several days ago that said they all around the same time, got cease and desist letters from LinkedIn, them just trying to protect their data. I'm sure Microsoft is going to jack up prices and really figure out if there's a way to monetize those streams more effectively. I imagine. I would assume so. Yeah. It's and I know lots of those CEOs that have gotten those cease and desist, and probably many more that won't admit it. Yeah. But because a lot of those companies are in varying degrees of, some of them are wholly dependent on LinkedIn. Yeah, it's crazy.
And it's an interesting state of affairs. But you very, very accurately pointed out, it's something that I recognize when Jim and I were basically enterprise software sales guys that got dragged into the data world just because of the thing that we started. And, after a couple of years, we probably learned more about data than we ever wanted to know. But I had that same observation that you made earlier in the call, that nobody really creates this data. It's
That's right.
There's so many aggregators of all this data. And another point that's very interesting about this is it's, the quality of the data and, sort of the ownership of the data. It's almost besides the fact. It's a good friend of mine in the industry said what these data companies own is the relationship.
That's right.
To the revenue.
Yep.
And so, people make the point, we used to call them data dinosaurs, the companies that have been in business for a long time and have aggregated a lot of data, the actual accuracy of the data is horrendous, but they're so good at packaging it and so good at integrating it in with, and they have,
SaaS offerings and
exactly. They have these beautiful relationships with all these distribution channels. And so, and they're hard to unravel. So it's like
it's a Zoom info, return path with their consumer insight. I mean, it's all over. It's almost like, Jim, the analogy I tell myself over and over, it's basically like this whole industry is basically like a Thanksgiving thing of mashed potatoes. Everyone puts in a potato. The industry blends it all together. It tastes delicious when you eat it, but you have no idea who you're eating it from. You don't know what potato it came from.
That is great. Yeah, that is fairly accurate.
Yeah. Take us back to people.
People combats that a little bit is like, we don't have a big database in the sky. We're an index. When you access our data via API, along with the data is the metadata of where it came from.
Yep. So let me just break that down for people. You guys have kind of three revenue streams. One, I assume access to your API, right? You sell that?
Yes.
Okay. And the second are kind of, I imagine it's almost like Google AdSense to these partners like Been Verified, Instant Checkmate, and Spokeo. Are they just paying you CPC or CPM or something?
Actually, no. Well, that used to be the relationship, but now it's evolving towards where they're paying per query to the API.
Interesting.
They've basically baked in a number of applications out there have baked in the real-time feed to our API.
Interesting. And how many total kind of customers are you guys serving? People that have bought access to your API? Thousands?
I mean, I don't even know the exact number, but a couple of hundred corporations. In addition to, actually, we've just come out with a pay version, sort of a corporate enterprise version of our search engine for individuals, and that is so individuals can buy licenses for their maybe manual searchers or manual analysts that want to access the data almost like a typical search engine, but on a so that number already is in the hundreds, and it'll go into the thousands. But
and what's the average price? What's the average price point on that? The business solution?
It's sort of unlimited searches for $1,200 a year per person.
Okay, got it. So it's the way you're expanding ARPU on those sales is it's seat based per person.
Yes.
1,200. Okay. Interesting. And what's team size? How many folks are on the People team?
Well, we're a private company, but we're roughly 40 people worldwide.
Okay. Where are you guys spread out? I mean, is San Francisco, the States, overseas? Where are you at?
San Francisco, we've got a sales office outside of Spokane, Washington, which interestingly enough, a little trivial fact is it's a portion of one of the old Jigsaw offices. And we actually have some ex-Jigsaw folks like myself working at Pipl. And then we've got a large development office in outside of Tel Aviv in Israel.
Bootstrapped, or has the company raised capital?
Bootstrapped.
Oh, totally bootstrapped. Wow. Very cool. So if the founders...
That was one of the things that attracted me to it. It's I've got nothing against venture capital based companies, but that's sort of the world that I lived in for so long that it's kind of nice to be able to not have the... It's not as though we don't have sales goals, but we don't have to do short-sighted, stupid things with big customers, because we're trying to hit a number for the day or the month or the week or the quarter or whatever.
Yep. And are you, does Matthew kind of look at you like a co-founder, or are you kind of like head of sales? How do you fit into the team?
No, he he doesn't. Actually, a little bit of background for me. I'm actually going to travel throughout Europe with my family. I've got 2 kids, 10 and 12, starting in the summer. So it's sort of an agreement about a year and a half ago. I said, I'll come on for a couple of years and expand this channel for you. And I weigh in on various decisions, marketing and strategy and strategic development. Things like that.
Are you on the cap table?
I am, but in a very slight way.
Okay, but you are incentivized. The reason I'm asking is because there's other people that look to bring people like you in to kind of advise or help or consult, and the way to do that is typically equity. So they did use that lever to incentivize you.
Yes.
So guys, I'm so glad to be back in Austin. I just got back from a major tour of Southeast Asia, went to Sydney, Bangkok, Bali, and Japan. And, I always get sick when I travel. And this particular trip, my gosh, 15 different airports, 20 different hotels. I mean, imagine flushing in airport bathrooms. I was worried about germs and getting all the nutrition I need. I mean, finding a restaurant in Japan, difficult because nothing's in English. So it's hard enough to figure out the train system. But my point is, I had a guy named Drew Canoli on the show who said, Nathan, if you're concerned about that, take these little green packets with you. You just mix them once per day with water. They'll keep you super healthy. You get all your nutrients, and they'll keep you from getting sick. So I took them. And guys, they worked unbelievably well. I got no sickness, just mixed them with water once per day. They didn't make my water bottles all sticky. That's nice. A lot of these mixers, they make them sticky. It was very clean and smooth. Took them once per day, never got sick. So they've got 11 superfoods. And they're perfect if you're not traveling, but you're just on the go from your office to work. So you can check them out at nathanlatka.com/juice. That's nathanlatka.com/juice. Very cool. All right, Garth, let's wrap up here with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
The Speed of Trust.
That's a good one. I haven't heard that one before. Speed of Trust. Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
I would say I kind of Tim Ferriss. I can't get away from him. He just comes out with so much intriguing stuff that I definitely I'm always kind of seeing what he's up to.
And number 3, besides Pipl, what's your favorite online tool?
LinkedIn.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep do you get every night?
6.
Okay, that's not bad. And you said you've got 2 kiddos. So are you married?
I am married.
Okay.
Yeah, for 14 years this summer.
Very big congratulations. And how old are you?
I'm 46.
All right, last question, Garth. Take us back 26 years. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
That time is not boundless. My 20s were the 90s in San Francisco, pre-boom, during the boom, and the bust. And I spent a lot of great years, traveling, spending money, probably wasting time and money to a certain extent. I wish I would have got started sort of entrepreneurial, true entrepreneurial endeavors a little bit earlier.
Guys, there you have it. Time is not boundless. From Garth, one of the founders of Jigsaw, with his friend Jim Fowler, which they sold in 2010 to Salesforce for $175 million. Now helping out at Pipl, which has over 3 billion of the world's humans indexed with accurate data. Again, Garth leading a lot of the relationships in the sales and marketing space with companies like Clearbit, Full Contact, others like that or around that area, as Pipl looks to expand their revenue base as a 40-person private company. Garth, thank you for taking us to the top.
All right. Thanks a lot, Nathan.
If you enjoyed Garth today, go back and listen to Benjamin yesterday. His financial technology company has raised $15 million and helps break down securitized loans from renewable energy originators so that investors can buy in. This is helping to make sure something like 2008 doesn't happen again with confusing securitized loans. It would mean the world to me if you guys got any value from this episode, if you would go leave a review on iTunes right now and then subscribe. I hustle like heck to get these episodes out every freaking day for you guys. And trust me, I love it. I would do it with no listeners, but boy, oh boy, it makes my day and it makes my team's day when we see great reviews and get your feedback. So thanks so much. Okay, Top Tribe, I love giving away free money. I feel like Oprah giving away cars, and I have something special for you today. How many of you have heard our super sharp guests talk about success they've had with Facebook and Google Ads? Well, all of you listening right now, yes, if you're listening, you get $100 in free AdWords. Here's how you get it, okay? Again, thanks for listening. Get the free $100 from Google right when you sign up with my website host provider, HostGator. Go sign up now to get your free money. HostGator.com/Nathan. Again, that's HostGator.com/Nathan.